Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors here at Trillium. Last week I introduced you to the generosity path, an arbitrary path of 0 to 100. 0 being total self-absorption, kind of narcissistic thinking. 100 being divine, generous, overflowing generosity and goodness to others. And I asked you where you thought you might be on that path. But more importantly, which direction are you heading in? Are you heading towards generosity or are you heading away from it? We've been looking at 10 simple ways to become a more generous person. We're looking at stage 4 here, or way 4, give first. Now, a few months ago, I mentioned to you that what we practice most is what we become, which is pretty self-evident. You know, if you put the energy into it the most, that's what's going to shape your life. Effort produces result. If we make kindness the thing that we practice most in life, that's what we'll become, a kind person. If we make criticism the number one thing that we practice in life, that's what we're going to become, a critical presence. If we make winning at all costs the thing that we practice most, I think we're going to find ourselves pretty isolated in life. If we make generosity the thing we practice most, then we will become a generous person to others. And I ask you, what do you think you're practicing most in your life? Because that's what you're becoming today. One of the other things I've learned, though, is alongside what we practice most, what we become, is another rule, in a sense. And it goes like this: what we practice first is what we'll become. I've been learning this the hard way in my life. I've been wanting to make yoga, meditation, and prayer a daily practice in my life. But the thing I've noticed over a couple of years is that if I don't do it first thing in the morning, it just doesn't end up happening very often. And this is a challenge for me because up till now, I've been getting up in the morning, having a bowl of oatmeal and reading online newspapers. I mean, I really enjoy doing it. It doesn't make me feel good, but I enjoy doing it. And so I get up in the morning and my intention is to do yoga, but then I start playing little mind games with myself. I think, oh, Mark, come on, I don't really feel good and I'm feeling stiff and I don't feel like doing yoga and prayer meditation. How about just have your bowl of oatmeal and read your online newspapers and just do it a little later in the day? But late morning comes around and it's just not convenient. And then the afternoon comes around and it's not convenient. Early evening, it's still not convenient to do it. And the thing I start thinking about is, well, I'll do it last thing before I go to bed. But when I get to that moment in my day, I'm just too tired and I just hop into bed and go to sleep. And the practice doesn't happen very often. And what I've realized over the last 6 months especially is I must do it the first thing I do in the morning, no matter what. Don't even look at my email. Just go downstairs and do my yoga and my meditation and prayer and then begin the rest of my day. And I think this applies also to something like generosity. If we want to be a generous presence in life, if we want to move down the generosity path towards generosity, then I think we have to do it as a priority in life, the first thing we do. I mean, for instance, in the scriptures, in the Old Testament, it talks about tithing, about giving 10% of your income to God. Not necessarily to an institution or to charity, but to put 10% of your income at the service of God's blessing and concern for the world. And that 10% can change everything. But what's interesting I've noticed is that if I don't make that 10% of my life the first thing I do, then what ends up happening is it just doesn't happen. If I try to give God the last 10%, then there's just nothing there anymore left over, just crumbs. And so the scriptures say in themselves that we have to give God the first 10%. Because if we don't give God the first 10%, God ends up getting nothing. And the practice of generosity in our life is lost. It's not that that's what we intend. It's just simply that's how it works out. You know, it's interesting. Joshua Becker in his article talks about this. He talks about give first. You know, give out of the abundance of your life. Interestingly, if we give out the first 10%, we might not even notice that it's gone in the way that we notice it in the last 10%. Give from the first 10%, and it simply is a part of the structure of the way we live our life. I mean, Jesus did it himself. He didn't just give 10%, he gave his whole life. And in the midst of it all, he gave away his life and he changed the world. And we may not really grasp what he was about, but it's pretty simple to begin the practice of generosity. Make it the thing we practice most, and make it the thing we practice first.